Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to Introduction to Philosophy. The purpose of this short, brief video is simply to introduce you to who I am, a little bit about myself. I want to say a little bit about the course, and just a little bit about what philosophy is. This is going to be a short video, but the point of this video is simply to kind of have a welcome to the class because, we are just an online class, and so I think it's appropriate for the first day to just have a little bit of introduction. And so, start by just saying a little bit about who I am. My name is David Antonini. I literally just moved to Nevada about 2.5 weeks ago. This is my first semester at Great Basin College. Prior to this, I was in South Carolina at Clemson University. Those of you who follow college football may be familiar with Clemson. Um, Most people don't realize that there's actually a town and a school also that goes along with the football team. But anyways, I was there for 4 years prior. Prior to that, I went to graduate school in Southern Illinois University, and originally I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So this is the fourth state that I'm currently living in, and I got to be honest. I am still adjusting to living in a Pacific time zone. Um, Kind of adjusting to it being sunny all the time. I'm not sure that the sun has not been constantly beating down on me since I moved here. So I'm adjusting to some things. And you may be aware that Great Basin College has different locations. It has the main campus up in Elko, which is way up north. Myself, I am located at the Pahrump campus. And I don't know out there, any of you who are taking this class, if you know anything about the geography of Nevada or whether you yourselves live more in southern Nevada, closer to Las Vegas, but that's where I'm located. I will, for right now, I'm at home, but a couple days a week, I will be located in the Pahrump campus. Um, and so, just that's kind of my role at Great Basin is to work at that location. Um, and again, you may or may not know, but Great Basin College has, I think, 5 locations total, all spread throughout the state. But I'm located in Pahrump, and I live in Las Vegas. So that's just a little bit about me. I wanted to just briefly just talk about the class and kind of what you can expect this semester, especially for an online class. I don't know how many of you have taken an online only class before. My guess is probably more of you than I probably guess, because I know the Great Basin offers a lot of online classes. So this may or may not be your first online class. And so I just want to talk about a little bit about how my class is going to work and what this class is going to be like. I have about, at this point, I taught at Clemson for 4 years. I taught at where I went to graduate school, Southern Illinois University. I taught there for many years as well. So I've taught for a number of years, but I've certainly taught more in the classroom, sort of a traditional classroom, than I have online. But I've certainly gotten my experience teaching online, and so I feel like I've gotten a pretty good handle on sort of what students expect and what students want out of an online class, and so I hope that's the case. And of course, you can let me know if it's not. You can reach out to me through email, whatever the case might be. But let me just say something. Let me just start by kind of talking about the class, and sort of the structure of the class and kind of the assignments you're going to have and things like that. So I've uploaded the syllabus as of this morning. The syllabus is on Canvas, Web Campus, but I will use Web Campus and Canvas interchangeably. My previous institution, Clemson, called it Canvas. I mean, that's what it's called, but they didn't have a separate name for it like Great Basin does, so just used to calling it Canvas. It really makes no difference. But if I say Web Campus, if I say Canvas, just so you know, those are the same. Um, but the syllabus was uploaded this morning. The syllabus is kind of a lengthy document. In addition to what I myself put in the syllabus, of course, Great Basin requires us to have quite a bit of information in there. You'll notice starting on page page 3 of the syllabus where it says GBC, Institutional Policies. All of that is information that you'll probably find on your syllabus for all of your syllabi for all of your classes. That is standard required information that is required by the university for us to have on there. So I just want you to be familiar with that. But I'm going to focus on some of that, but I want to focus more on some of the stuff that you'll see starting on page 1 and then kind of going down to page 3 where I just alluded to, where you see the other stuff. So just starting at the top, again, my name's David Antonini, PhD in philosophy. There's my email right at the top there. My email, first name, period, last name. That's where you can reach me. I want that to be my primary. I'm going to have office hours. They're going to be from 9 to 10:30, and they're going to obviously have to be via Zoom because there are no such thing as in-person office hours unless some of you, again, if some of you live in Pahrump and you wanted to come in for, if you're in the Pahrump campus and you wanted to come in and see me in person, you could. But assuming that's not the case, the office hours 9 to 10:30. The way those are going to work is if at any time this semester you want to meet with me, send me an email letting me know. I will send you a Zoom link back. We'll jump on Zoom and then we'll have our whatever you need to talk about. But again, again, I'm just going from the top of the syllabus here. Again, this is a web-based class entirely. We have no live synchronous meetings. Other than that, introduction to philosophy, there's a basic description of the course at the top of the syllabus. And then I go through some of my own learning outcomes there, and you can kind of read through those on your own. But the basic idea is everything we do in this class, the idea is that they're going to be related back to these learning outcomes. And so what I'm trying to do through the assignments that I have you do in the class, the idea is that the assignments that you complete for the class will help you achieve one of these learning outcomes. And so just kind of be familiar with those. And if you have any questions, you can certainly let me know. So in terms of the book, I noticed I posted this in yesterday's announcement, but I just want you to know this is the book for the class. This is the book that you're going to need. There is a reading assignment as soon as this week. You'll notice that on the syllabus. I asked you to read pages 1 through 6. But I understand it's the first week of class, and sometimes you're not able to get a hold of the book that soon. And so the good news is you don't have any written assignments due this week, but you will have a written assignment due by next Friday. So just be sure you have the book by then. But I'd really like you to have it now. But again, I understand that it's possible that you might not be able to get it as soon as you need it. But again, I would encourage you to look on Amazon for this. Just be sure you're using the ISBN number that you can locate here on the back of the book. Just be sure you have the right edition, because this might be the only edition of this book. A lot of times there are different editions. Looks like this might be the only edition. I think it's a fairly cheap book, so just be sure you have it. But it's called Philosophy, Asking Questions, Seeking Answers. And I will, just to say something about the book, this is the first time I'm using this book, but I think the book itself is very, very accessible. I think it's good for students. I chose it for specific reasons. I think it is a good introduction to philosophy. It covers a wide range of topics, as you'll notice. Even just reading the first 6 pages, you're going to notice Introduction to Philosophy covers such a broad range of things. And so even if you just skim through the book, you'll notice that. So that's the book. Let me just say something about an online class. I bet, you've probably heard this for other things in your life, but my basic philosophy with an online class is you can get as much out of this class as you're willing to put into it. Obviously, I'm talking about your grade in that sense. Like, the grade you get will be, reflective of the effort you put in, and that goes without saying. But in terms of an online class itself, regardless of the grade specifically, in terms of what you want to take away from this class beyond the grade, in terms of sort of what you want to leave the class with after this semester, and maybe take with you out into the world, as much effort as you're willing to put in, that's what you're going to see at the end, I think. And I think you understand that, but I just want to say that that's especially true with an online class, because I think there's a lot of self-motivation required and discipline required, because you don't have that time where you have to be in a certain place at a certain time as you would with a regular class. And so logging into Web Campus or Canvas every day is certainly just something that I think is expected. And so maybe I don't need to say that, but I think I just want to say that up front. And I do sort of reiterate that on pages, right here, starting where it says general note for an online course. So again, in terms of the way I'm going to teach the class, I mean, what you're seeing right now, these videos, I'm going to be making quite a few of these. Some weeks will have more than others, but I will be making these videos. I'll be uploading them usually by the beginning of the week to go along with that week's readings. They won't be super long videos. I usually aim for between 20 and 30 minutes because, first of all, I think that your attention span's my attention span isn't great. And also, I don't think you want to sit and watch an hour of me. So I want to give you enough to kind of help you and guide you through the readings, but I also don't want to make them, exhausting to have to watch. So 20 to 30 minutes is what I usually aim for, but they may go longer than that sometimes, depending on. And then I will have some notes that go along with the readings. So be prepared for that as well. But let me just say something about the structure of the class. The thing that I've learned with online teaching is you want to have students, you guys want to know when things are due, and you want it to kind of run the same every week. You want to get into a routine, you want to get into a pattern, and so that's what I strive to do. I don't like to have things due at different times. I just want, you have a few weeks of the class under your belt, you know what to expect, you get your expectations set, and then you know when things are due. And so the way that this class is going to work is that every week you're going to have a set of readings. You'll notice that. I also put a note on the syllabus. You don't need, read at your own pace. It's not as though you have to have read up to this page by this day. Because again, that's the difference for an online course, and I think you know that, but you read at your own pace. But you need to have the readings completed within a given week. But you don't have to have read by a certain day. You can kind of go at your own pace. But there are readings for every week. Friday of every week, not including this week, starting next week, you will have a homework assignment due by midnight. It'll be a document uploaded to Canvas. And the homework will be questions that are right there in the book. Now, you're not going to have to do all of the questions, but if you turn to the end of each chapter, in fact, even if you just turn to the end of today's reading on page 6, you'll see discussion question listed. I'm not asking you to do that, but that's where your homework will come from, is from the questions at the end of the chapter. And I will specify which ones I want you to do. You won't have to do all of them, but at the end of every chapter there are questions, and that is what you'll need to work on. Just give me just 1 second. I'm sitting here telling you that there are questions. Yes, there are. So there are comprehension and discussion questions, and you'll probably have a mixture of both. Those will be due every Friday by midnight. And so unless it specifies otherwise on the syllabus, those will be due every Friday. You can follow along with the course schedule. There may be weeks where you don't have anything due, but most weeks, Friday by midnight. Now, Mondays, the Monday of every week, excluding today and actually a week from today, you won't have this for 2 weeks, but you'll always have a quiz. And the quiz will be available for the entire day. I will post some questions. It will function as a quiz. It will be available for the entire Monday. It will be due by midnight. You'll need to upload it when you're finished. But it's available for the entire day. And the quizzes will cover the previous week's readings. So you will have homework due on a week's readings on Friday, and then the following Monday you will have a quiz on the previous week's readings. And so That's how that will work. And a big majority of your grade are going to be those homework assignments and those quizzes. I will drop quiz scores at the end of the semester. Quizzes will typically be, the format of quizzes will typically be similar to homework questions. I tend to make quizzes, they function as what I call short paragraph questions, which is to say questions that ask you to explain some major part of the reading for that week. So those are two big components. Another, let me just double check the schedule here so I don't misspeak. But on the week of October 10th, the only thing you'll have that week is a midterm. You'll have no readings, no nothing that week. You'll just have a midterm. I don't know the exact day yet, but again, it'll work the same way. You'll have a specified period of time where you can work on it, and it will cover everything from the first half of the semester. And so October 10th, which is week 7, which is about halfway through the class, that's when your midterm will be. The good news is there's no final exam in the class, but you do have a final paper, and that is the other component of your grade. Another component of your grade is a paper. That's not due till the end of the semester, so I'm not going to say too much about that right now. Typically with papers, especially in an introductory class, I give you a series of prompts related to things we've discussed throughout the semester. You choose one of the prompts and write a 5 to 7 page paper on one of the prompts. That's not due till the end of the semester. Let me think what else. There will also be discussion posts, periodic discussion posts. They won't be things you do every week. For those of you that have taken online classes, I'm sure it's not surprising to you here, there will be discussion posts. It's a way to kind of obviously generate discussion and have you interacting with your classmates because we don't have a live class session where you would ordinarily have discussion with your classmates and with me. So you will have occasional discussion posts. I'll be sure to say more about those when the time comes for them to be due. Though you will have an introductory one due this week, and I will be posting that either today or tomorrow. I think that covers sort of the major assignments, sort of the structure of the class, but you'll notice with the course schedule, it shows you what you need to read, and then it reminds you that you have a homework and then a quiz. But always, the one thing I just want to remember, even though it may seem a little weird, your quiz is always on the previous week's reading. So Monday, quiz, previous week. Try to sort of remember that. Homework on Friday is always on that week's readings. So just try to remember that. I think that's about it. The only other thing I want to do in this video is just briefly talk about sort of what the point of Intro to Philosophy is. So, as an instructor, Intro to Philosophy is actually one of the more challenging classes to teach because you kind of it's broad, as you can imagine. Philosophy is a huge discipline at a university, at a college. It includes a lot of different sub-fields. Just like you can specialize in any field. So in medicine, there's medicine, and then there's all the sub-fields of medicine. Similar with philosophy, there's philosophy, and then there's all the sub-fields. And there's many, many, many of them. And so in philosophy, in an intro to philosophy class, you cover all of these different subfields. Now, let me just say what sort of 3 big subfields in philosophy are. And the reading will probably mention these. And we're going to be dealing with various parts of these throughout the semester. There's one subfield in philosophy known as metaphysics. And metaphysics is simply the study of what is real, what exists in the universe. And the name itself implies metaphysics, sort of going beyond the physical. So when we say what exists, we're not talking about tables and chairs, because we can touch those and feel that it's sort of what exists beyond our senses. What is the most real things? What is God is a very common metaphysical question. There's also another field, subfield. So there's metaphysics, there's also epistemology, which deals with questions related to knowledge. How do we know what we know? What is the difference between knowledge and belief? What is the difference between knowledge and, or what is the difference between belief and opinion? When we say that we know something, what do we mean by that? So that's, and then ethics, which is probably the one a lot of you are familiar with, because ethics is a word that we use all the time, sort of in a colloquial sense, in a non-philosophical sense. We talk about ethics all the time. And we talk about morality a lot. And ethics and morality, as I understand the terms, are largely used interchangeably. But ethics deals with questions of right and wrong, good and bad. What kinds of choices should I make? How do I know what the right thing to do is in a given situation? And a lot of you are familiar with ethical questions. Is killing always wrong? That's one question. What about abortion? And we'll get to ethics later in the semester. But we'll be dealing with all three of these areas throughout the course: metaphysics, epistemology, ethics. And the reason I like this book, what this book does, we're not reading primary philosophical texts. We're reading about the philosophers. You're going to have these guys, Stephen Stitch and Tom Donaldson, explain the arguments of some of the most famous philosophers to you, and how those arguments that these philosophers discussed hundreds and thousands of years ago are still relevant today. It may be the easiest to see that with ethical questions, because I think those are the most obvious why those are still relevant. But even questions in metaphysics and epistemology have a bearing on ethical questions as well. So Introduction to Philosophy is a very, very broad course, and we're only going to sort of scratch the surface to an extent. But it's a challenge because you have to kind of pick and choose what do you focus on, because there's so much you could focus on in an Intro to Philosophy class. And so, though that's kind of that's kind of a preview of some of what we're going to be doing in this class. And we're going to be getting, you'll get a sense of that already from the reading that I'm asking you to do this week, which is 1 to 6. And in particular, on page 3 here, I know this isn't ideal because the sun's shining through my window here and you can't see this very well. But the list of questions on page 3 is really, really helpful. It'll just give you a sense of how many different kinds of philosophical questions there are. And you may be surprised to learn that, like, all of those can even be considered philosophical questions. So I encourage you to read through those on page 3 especially. Part of the reading is also going to sort of talk about the difference between philosophy and science, what the philosophical method is, and things like that. But that's really all I have for this video. I just want to introduce myself, talk about the syllabus, the assignments, and kind of what the class is going to be like. I really, really do look forward to teaching this class. Intro to Philosophy is one of my favorite classes to teach because you get to talk about so many different things. Again, obviously, in the absence of live meetings, this class is going to be slightly different. But if you ever want to talk further about anything in the class that and you want to meet with me, please send me an email, because I'm still available to talk with you live during my office hours. Or if those office hours don't work for you, you can send me an email and we can meet at a different time. But that's all I have. I just wanted to kind of welcome you to the class. I hope the first day of your semester is going well, whether you're all online with your classes or whether you're going to campus, whatever the case might be. I hope the first day of your semester is going well. Again, in terms of what you need to be doing for this week, get the book. That's a big focus. And there will be an introductory discussion post that I'm going to be posting to Canvas either today or tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. The instructions for how to do it will be completed or will be contained in it. But if you do have any questions, let me know. And I will talk to you all soon.